I do. I'm curious, I didn't get your first name, I'm sorry.
Zoe.
Zoe. Was that from your own background? Or was
A little bit. My mom's family is actually from Hawaii, so they were not interned because Hawaii was the fourth Japanese, and it'd be kind of hard to intern the entire working population. But some of her cousins were interned, and some of the stories from there are from letters I have from her cousins who were interned in Tule Lake, which was where they sent most of the people who refused to answer the loyalty questions. That's where they got sent.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So, if not, I believe it's time for us all to have
No
some
other
snacks.
questions, folks? Nothing else you want to know? How are you guys so grateful?
Just like all of your inspirations, like everything you guys wrote.
Well,
Just like why did you choose to write about what specifically you wrote about this?
I mean, I guess obviously mine came out of my experience. It wasn't until I was an adult that I even had my first kiss, you know, because as I knew I didn't want to like date girls, but I knew that, or I thought at the time that, you know, being with another guy was wrong. So I think that there's been I've thought a lot, obviously, and in my transition to accepting myself as a gay person, there's a lot of pieces that I sort of mulled over, you know, and now that I'm married and my husband was Chinese, it's, you know, even more pieces, you know, understanding how race plays into a relationship. So, you know, I mean, this is all stuff that I give a lot of thought to. I think it's kind of informed my perspective, and there are topics that I'm still learning about. You know, I definitely am not. I don't have the final say by any means on any of these things. I'm still learning.
Yeah, I think it was like the idea of like, you know, white privilege. It was something I've been just thinking about for quite a while, and just in the fact that like it almost seems as if like I wouldn't have a lot of say in whether I have white prejudice or not. Like it's almost as if like, you know, it's like our society is like feeding us these messages like over many years, and so it's like just as a product of like living in society, I'm gonna probably have some prejudices, you know, and so there's a lot of gray area, I guess, like whether you're like, you know, racist or not. It's not like so one or the other, you know. There's a lot of a wide spectrum, and so yeah. So it's just these things are just kind of the thing I just was thinking about. So I wanted to put it down on paper.
Yeah, some of the things in my essay I've been thinking about too, but I probably wouldn't have written it if Ryan had asked me to write a response. Like, that was my assumption.
Honesty. The piece I read was actually written for an assignment in a class. It was supposed to be like an extra chapter of a book, which in this case was Buddha in the Attic by Julia Otsuka, which ends right before they're interned. It's been changed since then, so it's not obviously ripping off that book. But my thesis is actually going to be about sort of the World War II and its effect on the Japanese American population, because that's something that I think is pretty underrepresented in both fiction and nonfiction. I feel like internment has been pretty well covered in a lot of places, though not as much recently. But you know, like I said, like my mom's family's from Hawaii, and then I have an uncle who fought in the 442nd, which is the most decorated infantry unit in American history. But people don't know about that. Like there's so many things I feel like people don't know about that period of history that I want to write about it and try to show the entirety of that experience and what it did to the Japanese population, because it's a relatively small ethnic minority in this country, and I just don't think it gets discussed as often as others.
Have you met Matthew Hasaguchi?
I have not.
Speak up, Rebecca.
Matthew Hasaguchi. I don't know much because I'm not a film major, but he he works in the film department. He's actually filming a documentary, or he just finished filming and editing a documentary about Japanese internment. We did this a lot for your thesis.
That sounds really helpful.
So he works at overseas.
Zoe?
Zoe. Yeah.
Okay, hi. I was wondering if you said you're going to be writing your thesis on this topic, and the piece that you read was fiction. Do you think that you'll be doing both fiction and nonfiction writing about the topic, or do you think you'll lean more one way or the other?
I mean, I'm a fiction writer, so it's mostly fiction. I would say there's one story that's going to be a little bit more autobiographical, so it's going to be more modern in terms of how do Japanese American people feel now when we're expected to dispassionately discuss, like in history class, where we're like, so what were the pros and cons of bombing Hiroshima? And to me, I'm like, my family's from Hiroshima, there were no pros. Like, so like, that's something that just does not get, is that a lot of people just wouldn't get, and it's something that we're expected to just discuss dispassionately. So that's something I want to talk about, but I'm not really an essayist, so it's going to be mostly fiction.
So if there are no more questions,
Ryan just wants to party.
I believe it's time to start the launch party.
Yes. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.